What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Cinema Center at MARBL at TIFF 2023. I have the team behind Boy Kills World with me. I already said this to you off camera, but wow, what an ambitious, audacious film you have made. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't know who wants to do these honors, but a lot of our viewers will first be learning about your film through the festival. So who would like to give a synopsis of Boy Kills World?
It's a wild and crazy mashup of every film genre and movie that Moritz grew up loving. And it comes from every corner of his mind, and he somehow integrated elements from all of those great movies. He has that classic filmmaker story of having worked in a video store when he was younger, and just being an avid cinephile. And I think you see the influences of anime, of the great master action movies, the best comic book movies you've seen. He can talk about his own inspiration, but this movie is basically a revenge movie, but it's fun.
It's also about family.
It's also about family and sort of how families can be a little messed up. It's kind of like revenge. It is an exploration of the path that you go on revenge, but it's also about being manipulated by other people. There is kind of a deep message in there, buried beneath the mayhem, the wild and crazy action, and the comedy, and it's a little bit of everything. It's fresh.
That's a very accurate description. Given the fact that this movie is a little bit of everything, it was making me wonder, when you were working on the script, did you have a break story moment, a particular thing you came up with that made you say to yourself, now that we have this, it's coming together and we're good to go?
The script, we worked on the script for a couple of years, I think. The first draft was done after a year, and then we sort of finessed it over another 7-8 months. There are a lot of moments where I was like, oh, this is cool. Now we were doing something different, and now this is fun, like stuff that we were sort of struggling with at first, and suddenly it just clicked. I couldn't tell you sort of a specific thing, but there were a lot of these moments. Yeah.
To build on that a little bit, what would you say is the biggest difference between draft one of your screenplay and what everyone's going to see in the finished film now?
I don't know if you even should spoil that, but the biggest difference is we have a boy is talking to his ghost sister. And in the first draft, it wasn't his sister. It was a younger version of himself. So there was a sort of a Bruce Willis, the kid moment there, where we had him as a young boy and him as an adult. And but we sort of talked about it. Oh, he has to sort of, his sister is dead, and so he has to, like, how does he process this? And so we had all these conversations about the old guy talking to his younger version about his sister. And at one point we were like, why are we doing this? Why couldn't he just talk to his sister? And that's what changed. And that was a big change, and it was a big click and aha moment for us. And I'm very happy that happened.
Interesting. Both paths are interesting, but I'm glad you landed on what you did here.
And we brought on this amazing writer, Tyler Burton Smith. He did a lot of rewriting on the film, and he really punched it up and made it super original and wonky and kooky, as you know.
Very much so. Zainab, I wanted to come to you next, specifically to talk about Raimi Productions a little bit, because I love Sam Raimi. I've been following his films literally my entire life. For you as a filmmaker, as a producer, what was something about like the company's initiative that drew you to it and maybe made you think you could grow there as a filmmaker as well?
Yeah, I mean, Sam is so supportive of young filmmakers, and it's really important to us to really work on original stories. And when we were developing Moritz's script, everything's original, it's bold, it's creative, and Sam loved everything about Moritz's brain.
Is there anything, I feel like there's going to be a million answers to this question. Is there anything in this script that when you were gearing up for production made you think like, this is going to be a first? I don't know if we're going to be able to do it, but we're going to try it for the very first time.
There's a lot. There's a lot of, I don't know what I can give away, but there's a lot of firsts. the cheese grater was a fun one. And Evil Dead Rise did have it, but we shot it at the same time, I will say. All of the action was incredible, and there's just so much heart. And the world building, I can go on and on about how incredible the film is.
I don't think there is anything wrong with calling 2023 the year of the cheese grater.
Yeah, the year of the cheese grater, yes.
I mean, now that we know that the cheese grater is in the movie, can you talk a little bit about the special effects involved on set in order to pull off action like that?
Special effects on set. Well, what we had to do to even get a sort of a basic picture of how the action should look was doing all these previs things where we shoots where Dave Shatarsky, the action director, sort of worked out the general gist of the scene. Then we talked about it. Then we made the changes according to the script, and then he sort of shot a first draft of it in a warehouse in the stunt facilities, basically, and then redid it sort of on set on the day. And obviously, even then there were changes, but that was sort of one big thing, so we could really anticipate how much time it's going to take us, because it's just so much action. And really we went in and really tried to have a plan way before that, and that affected the visual effects. Like every time somebody goes in, like, yeah, he could shoot him in the head right now, it's like, oh yeah, that's another bullet impact, blood spatter, another muzzle flash. Oh yeah, that's another $1,500 or something. So every time somebody had like a small idea, it literally affected the budget. And but we did it.
Yeah.
The crazy challenge you have that Moritz is covering is like you got the action sequences, the drama sequences, the humor beats, and they're all having to work together. And David and Moritz created these crazy action sequences where David wanted to create fight sequences that included things that he's always wanted to do as a stunt designer and coordinator and never been allowed to do. And we sort of turned him loose and you go ahead, Dave, just let's go crazy, let's do this. And then integrating them into the drama and the moments. And one of the biggest challenges, you've got a lead actor who has no dialogue. He's deaf and mute. That leads to a very different challenge in shooting the movie that Moritz really did an amazing job with, to capture the emotion and the heart, and with a lead with no lines.
Oh, I have many questions about that. I do want to know what visually is important for you in order to capture that emotion. But then also, when did you come to the conclusion that having that voiceover narration was also an effective way to bring all those emotions to screen?
I mean, that was basically from the beginning. Like the very first moment we started, when we shot the proof of concept trailer in 2016, I think. That was one of the core ideas that we had to make this movie different, to add something that is not usually in an action movie. And that's where it started. Like that was one of the first ideas we had.
That was the importance of Bill. Bill was drawn to the action, but he loved the idea that he's going to have this additional challenge of, having to show and express everything while he's in the middle of a fight or in the middle of a scene. And yes, the voiceover all helped that, but really his on-screen performance, the way he and Moritz worked together to make sure we captured that. Like, your lead actor has to be looking in the direction of a sound or something who's talking to him if he's going to react to it. Yeah. Things like that, little things.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about working with Bill as an actor's director now? Maybe even something unique about the way he works that demands something different from you as an actor's director compared to everyone else in the ensemble?
So, one big thing was the fact that he didn't have any dialogue, but he had dialogue, right? When he talks to his sister, there is a dialogue there. So you had to shoot it in a way that you knew the timing, you knew the performance, the back and forth between the two of them. It's like, have her line, then him sort of mimicking the line, keeping the timing in his head, then she answers. So that was a big challenge. And we came up with all these crazy solutions, sort of putting pre-recorded, putting it in his ear, putting it in her ear so we could have that. And after we tried all of this, we came to the conclusion that simpler is better, and basically just shot it once with him doing the dialogue. So we had a sort of a baseline for timing and for his emotion and how he would act it out. And then just sort of winging it on the shoot for the timing, just like, yeah, this will work, because also you don't have time to do these complicated things over and over for a line. A dialogue can't be something that takes the longest in a movie. Like,
I love talking about winging. I want to come back to the rest of the cast eventually, but I do love talking about winging it, because with a film like this, you already brought up previs. You want to plan to set yourself up for success. But sometimes the unexpected magic is the stuff that is the most special thing in a film. So can you give me an example of a day on set when things weren't going to plan, you found a creative way to pivot, and it improved a scene because of it?
It's a lot.
Yeah, it happens. It happens a lot. Where you're like, oh, that's a lucky coincidence. I don't actually know if it's in the script, but we sort of had the young version of Boy, Cameron or Nicholas, I don't know who it was, doing chopping wood, and he chops wood, and the axe, the head of the prop axe came off and sort of just flew away, and he sort of hits it, and we kept it in the movie. And I'm not sure if it's still in there, but for the longest time we kept it in. There was like, this is really funny, because he had this, like, came off, and then he had this expression where you're like, oh, and that was really funny. But stuff like that happens all the time, either at the end of the scene or the beginning of the scene, where you're like, oh, I didn't know that was coming. But it's hard to pinpoint another.
Isaiah's lines, and then the macaroon with Koji.
Yeah. Yeah, Isaiah Mustafa, right? He sort of just ad-libbed a lot of the line, his nonsense lines that he sort of delivered, and it cracked me up every time.
I'm just like hearing so many of them right now.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where, like, how do you kind of convince yourself when you're just looking at the page that, like, something like that will wind up working? I feel like until the words are in his mouth, you just don't get it.
We did it in casting, and even in casting, we were like, oh my God, this is going to work. Because having somebody like him sort of with a straight face delivering these nonsense lines, we were laughing so hard, even in the casting.
Yeah, Golden Toe Jam.
Golden Toe Jam.
I feel like you need to make T-shirts and just put those lines on the T-shirt.
Jam.
And to his credit, he came up with a lot of them. Like we wrote, like, I think I guess we doubled the lines in the movie.
Yeah.
He only had half the lines in the script, and he just kept delivering great stuff. So we were like, oh yeah, sure, that's going to be in there.
He randomly changed them between takes just to mess with us all.
And it was very hard to stay quiet. We were laughing so hard on set. It was hilarious.
And then, in ADR, he just added again. And we're like, oh my God, there's even more now. So,
I'm fine. The more of those you have in this movie, the better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like he might be one of the answers to this question, but of all the supporting roles around Bill, which character did you find the toughest to cast, where it required a real search to find the perfect fit, but also who was someone who just, like, magically appeared one day and you're like, we immediately have the right actor for this character?
I think the last one was Andrew Koji, because we were sort of looking for older actors for that role, sort of just like more seasoned, just like, I think 10, 15 years older, because we were like, oh yeah, that's gonna fit there. And I think Zainab brought him up, and
we're developing another film with Koji, a biopic, and he was just talking about how he always wanted to try comedy. You know, he's the lead in a show called Warrior, and he felt that he was always typecast. So when the role was originally Chow, and Moritz and Koji met, and magic.
yeah, it was, and I didn't know that, but I thought it was always funny because he worked on Warrior, and Warrior also shot in Cape Town, so a lot of the team already knew him from the show, and they were like, yeah, that guy is usually different. And it was only then that I realized he was basically in character the moment we first got on the call, like on the first call. And he already had this, he already in character. And that just blew me away. And it was a big surprise. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely.
So he came to the project the quickest, easiest to cast. What's the opposite now? Who is the most difficult character to find the perfect actor for?
Who was it?
Maybe the hardest, Mina. I think the hardest was finding the young sister.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
That was a global search.
Worldwide. Thank you, Nancy Nair, our casting agent.
Casting directors need more shout outs. I'm happy you just named
Props to
drop right
Nancy.
there.
She did a great job.
We looked at a lot of young girls.
Yeah.
And it was hard. It was really
Great.
hard. But
Great
she's-
success.
She's an amazing young actress.
yeah,
Just
definitely.
She just won an award. I think it was maybe an Emmy, but yeah.
It was an Emmy.
Was
right?
it an Emmy for children?
Yeah.
I must look that up now. But great success. That search paid off big time. I have to wind down with you all soon. But Zainab, because you just brought up another film with Andrew Koji, now I'm thinking I want to know other things that you have coming up in the future, because you're, or at least IMDb tells me, you're working with many other genre directors that I deeply admire and
Rob
love.
Savage.
Is there any update on the project that you're working on with Rob Savage?
I actually have 3 movies with Rob. Only one has been announced.
There's no better answer to that question than what you just said.
I have 3 movies with Rob. You know, it's funny. I discovered him before he made any of his movies. He made those little shorts, and he was so brilliant. And then Blumhouse beat us. They made those films really quickly. He's incredible. We have another movie with Andrew Koji in development, and the next film actually we're shooting in Vancouver is also with Bill Skarsgård. So we will be teaming up with Bill again.
You keep working with good people. I'm sorry if I'm pressing for too much information, but the films with Rob, are any of those going back to the Screen Life format, or are they going to be more traditionally shot films along the lines of, let's say, Boogeyman?
Do you mean streaming?
Screen Life, like Host versus Boogeyman, where Host and Dashcam.
More like Boogeyman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a lot of faith in him.
Yeah.
I'll bug you about one more too.
Okay.
Corin Hardy.
Corin Hardy, yes.
Is that still going to happen?
Yes, it is. We are working on it, and he's currently shooting a film in Toronto right now, and we are hoping that this film, Every House is Haunted, will be the next one for next year.
I'll leave you all with one question that I like to end on quite a bit, because I am a big believer that no one in this industry tells themselves good job nearly enough. We say it to other people, but not ourselves. Can you tell me one specific thing you accomplish on Boy Kills World that you know you can walk away from the production, look back on it, and say to yourself, damn, I am proud we pulled that off?
That's a heavy question. I'm going to let Zainab go first. No.
I'll go first. No, it's okay. Honestly, I am so proud of Moritz. We've been working on this film for over 6 years, and I love how diverse our film is and colorful. And when you watch the film, everybody looks different. Everybody brings a little spice to the film. It's so special. It's nothing I've ever seen before or worked on before, and I'm really excited for everyone to watch it tonight.
Spot on answer.
I would say the same. I think we are just the whole project from the beginning until the end was audacious, aggressive. It was really difficult. It wasn't easy. There are so many devices that come out of this man's mind that are integrated into the story. And I think the finished product is remarkable. But I can say, honestly, with our production team, whether it was with Hammerstone, Raimi, Vertigo, and Antiba Pictures, it was a really challenging movie all around. And really, my favorite thing was standing in the auditorium this morning, looking at the movie at the Royal Alexandra and going, this is happening. We're at TIFF and we're going to show it to an audience tonight. And I'm so proud of everybody's work.
Yeah. I think for me, it's really sort of having the team surrounding the movie, the action director, the production designer, the DP, like all of them. And all of them love the movie. Like they really went out of their way to do their best. Like we had a lot of yelling and people yelling at other people going like, this is the best thing I've done for 10 years and you're not ruining this for me. It's going to go my way. And like stuff like that. They're really like passionate about it. And you go like, oh my God, the guy feels exactly the same as me. And that was a great feeling to talk to these people and see that they feel so much for this movie. So I'm really happy with that.
Oh, I love that answer so much. I'm going to say again, congratulations on Boy Kills World.
Thank you.
And I will remind our viewers, keep an eye out for the movie as well. And also for more interviews from the Cinema Center coming your way very, very soon.